Today, I'm going to be talking about how, in the age of AI, business growth is going to come from three main leverage points. Storytelling is going to be a major one, and this is why I'm even here speaking right now. Crypto is an underrated one. I think most business owners have no clue about, and the future of business growth using AI and automation. So let's start out with storytelling. So, in general, stories are the best way to sell. Now more than ever, we have tools that can give us so much more power with storytelling. There's I'm not even using all of them. So I can only imagine the ones that are coming that don't even exist yet. But the ones that do exist are insane, and they're getting better every week. So one key thing I would tell you if you're trying to build a business in this age of AI is you really need to master storytelling. And I've been using AI to help me master storytelling. What I've been doing is I've been creating different things to help me. Like I've created a chat bot that helps me write scripts based on podcasts that I've listened to around storytelling, books I've read, or I can get some cliff notes from using AI. And I'll I'll go into more of that stuff eventually, but I just want you to kind of like if I give you an action point within this is I think if you're a business owner right now and you feel like you can't tell stories well enough, which I think most of us do, even the best ones always want to get better at storytelling. Unless you're Steven Spielberg, you want to get better at storytelling. Um, I think you need to start talking to the AIs and asking them to make you better storytellers, teaching you, consuming information. There's a bunch of tools, and like I said, I'll create more content around which tools I use each one. But right now, I think your key takeaway right now is if you don't feel like you're good at storytelling, even if you do feel like you're good at storytelling, study it more. Ask ChatGPT, ask Claude, ask any AI you use. How can you help me become a better storyteller? Second part is partly why I'm making this video and why I'm starting to get back online and starting to talk again because I've been building this product for 2 years and kind of neglected the content part. I neglected telling the story of what I've been building live. I've been mostly talking to customers, but when you really look at it, you need to be building a customer base as you build the product, and I didn't do that well. I think I that's one of the things. If I had to do this over, I would have been doing this more earlier. But again, the company's doing decent. I can't be mad at anything. But if I was starting over and I was trying to build a business right now, I'll tell you right now, I would be trying to tell my story of why I built the current product I'm building. And there's a simple storytelling framework. It's why are you doing something, you know, and then what is the obstacles that are coming your way based on your why, and then the last thing is what happened, right? So again, if I take my version right now, why am I doing something? I built this product because I realized I was getting pretty late in age and I wasn't taking retirement savings serious enough. And once I started looking into all of the different asset classes, and I got into real estate, which you can find a video on that on my channel. Um, of course, I bought stocks. I had a 401k. But when I got into crypto and I started seeing what was possible in crypto, I knew it was the future. So I dove in and I tried to build a bank, a decentralized bank. And I did. And now we have hundreds of customers using my decentralized bank, which means self custody. We never touch anybody's money, but people are investing, saving, um, using their money in ways that most people have no idea is possible. So that's been my journey with storytelling, and I'm actually trying to learn it more and more. I'm taking classes. I'm watching all kind of content around it. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm taking all that data. I'm feeding it into AIs. I made my own chat bot that could help me create scripts. I'm not that good at scripted video. I'm better at live, but I'm pushing myself to create more scripted videos, and I've been creating them. You can find them on the channel if you want to dig, but they're not going to be good in the beginning, and I'm okay with that. But I'm pushing and I'm working on it. And I think we all need to, if you want to be an entrepreneur. Right now, I think in the age of AI, authenticity is going to be big, right? Like if you know eventually there's going to be ways of making people speak for you. If you can make people feel like, no, this is a real person building this and trusted and have them trust you, I think that's going to go a long way in business. So here's one of the things that I think most people are not, business owners are not taking advantage of. And this is crazy because, again, story time. Years ago, I remember when I first built my agency. I had a media and technology agency. I still have it, but I don't really. I've just finished one of my last projects on that because I want to focus on Stack. I met an entrepreneur and he was telling me how he was investing his profits in the stock market. And back then, again, I wasn't paying attention to any of this investment stuff. And I remember thinking, man, that's risky, right? Like, you can just take the money and spend it versus putting it there and it could go away, right? Again, not understanding long term investing. And then I met someone else who was buying real estate and borrowing off the real estate to live. And I started learning about all these tricks that wealthy people were using. And then when I got into crypto and I started buying Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I realized you can borrow off these assets, it reminded me of those people. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the future version of what these people were doing. And this class is the fastest growing asset class in history. So if I'm able to put my money in this asset class and then borrow against it to live and run my businesses, I can build wealth like I should have been years ago. So I did that. I started doing it by hand, learning the process myself. And I'm going to get back to this later when I talk about how you could be using AI. I started doing this myself. I started by hand figuring out a strategy that worked. And then I started to test through storytelling and creating content if people wanted to learn more about this stuff. And I built an online course, a coaching business, and I had people pay me to do it, to teach them this thing. And then when I did the class, I realized most people weren't doing it though. It was too difficult for them to do. They wanted to do it, but it was rough. It was a hard thing to stick with. It was one of those things that AI and automation was perfect for. Things that humans are just not good at. Things like removing emotions from decisions, doing tedious processes all day, every day. So I said, you know what? This is a good time to build an AI that can do this. And yes, it was built on top of a decentralized finance. Yeah, this was even before all these people now are talking about this. This was years ago. So I did it and I built the first version. And basically, what it's built to do is every time you have money left over to either invest or you have bills to spend, bills to pay, you could be leveraging that money to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum. Most people don't know this. It sounds crazy to people that don't understand this type of financial asset. Think about real estate. When people buy real estate, they don't have all the money to buy the real estate. They have 20%, sometimes less, sometimes more. So you'll go to a bank. Let's say you have a property you want to buy for 500K. The bank will say, okay, give me 100 and I'll lend you 400K more to buy this 500K asset. And then over time, you will pay that asset down and then you will own it outright. So I realized we could do this with crypto. You could put $100 in every month and we find lenders that will lend you $400. And now you're investing $500 a month. That's just with the extra cash you have. But what really was the unlock when I first did it was I had to pay for things like we all do every month. And I realized I could deposit that money, borrow to pay the bill and the expense. And let's say at that time, my business my business ran around, we made about 10K, 15K a month, and my expenses were 8 to 10K a month. So if I deposit the 15, borrow the 10, I'm investing 15K a month. And using those two strategies, I started talking to business owners and users of the product. And now I have hundreds of customers doing this. And again, one of the things most people, if you are familiar with all this crypto borrowing and leveraging, one of the biggest parts is worrying about liquidation, right? Prices fall and your loan could be called, right? So again, not that bad if you put in $100 and you borrowed 400 and the price falls and that $400 gets paid back because it wasn't yours anyway, it just got paid back, and you still stay with how much you had anyway. Not a huge deal, but people don't want that. You know, if you got to $50,000 by putting in 10 and 40,000 goes away, you won't feel great. But we figured out a way to protect that from happening. So now we have a product with millions, at this point, over $10 million of people have deposited money in and have borrowed to spend. And we protect the liquidation. So understanding that as an entrepreneur, we take so much risk, right? And another big thing, I created multiple businesses. Millions of dollars went through my hands. I would pay everybody out, expenses, office, whatever I had to pay, and then I would stay with whatever was left over. But I did not stay with millions of dollars. But if I had this product before that, I could have had millions of dollars in Bitcoin and Ethereum, still paid all my expenses. And that is leveraging your business in a way that really wasn't possible not even 3 years ago. 4 years ago, maybe. I built it 2 years ago, but it was kind of possible 3-ish years ago. That's when I realized it was possible, and that's when I started building. So if you think about it, if you got storytelling bringing you clients, and you're taking every dollar you're earning and putting it into assets that can grow in value for you over the rest of your life, that's leveraging business in a way that most people have no idea is possible. And in the description, there's a link to my free guide on how to do it. It's basically a 3-step guide to 3xing your dollar cost average. So a lot of people dollar cost average every month into investments. So give you that example, if you were going to invest $100 and you can borrow another $200-$300, you could be investing 3 times minimum more money than you would be without using this product. So if you want to check that out, the link is in the description, and let me know if you have questions. Okay, so AI automating. This is where I see just a ridiculous amount of opportunity. So now everything I do, everything I do, I'm thinking, how can AI make this better? So I'll give you a little example. I'm getting overwhelmed as more and more clients come into the product, and I have more and more team members, and I'm building each part of this. I'm a solo founder at the moment. I'm getting overwhelmed with information. And what is AI great at? Taking in data and analyzing it. So what I realized is the more data I can take in a digital format that I could feed to AI, and the AI can help me make decisions, the better. So now I'm concepting and building literally ways of having all the data that hits me all day, every day, and bring it into an AI and letting the LLM give me my to-do list. Because it can get daunting when, and it has gotten daunting in the past few months, when I got hundreds of customers I'm dealing with. I got a team building new features. There's features that need to be fixed from the current one that go wrong every now and then because an API changed. I got sales calls for new customers. I got coaching calls for I got coaches that are helping me with go to market, with just running a business in general. The information, and I'm a dad of 3, which I'm basically their Uber and Uber Eats driver. It's a lot. And what I'm really trying to build this business as is a sustainable business, not just a business that maybe it can make me a lot of money for a short amount of time, then I burn myself out and I don't want to do the business anymore. I want to build this in a way where I can comfortably run this marathon and not sprint and just die too early. So in when I think about this, I was doing a lot of things manually, right? So again, checking my emails manually, going through each email. Okay, I got to follow up with this person. Then I get on a Zoom call with either a current client or a potential client, and there's all kind of follow-ups that happen. But like if I have 5 or 6 calls back to back to back, I get off the calls, I'm exhausted, I want to go to sleep, and I got to follow up with all those people. I told them I would do a bunch of different things, and I was losing a lot of productivity. I was basically forgetting to follow up with a lot of people. So I said, okay, what are the things I'm doing manually and not doing manually enough of, and how can AI help me? So again, I'm going to create more content around exactly how I'm doing this stuff. But for instance, something as simple as trying to record everything you do, and there's many different ways you could do it. There's ones that join your meetings. There's hardware that will record everything. There's all kind of ways of doing this, but then there's feeding this to something that can help you, which is another that I'll show you eventually. So the way I look at it now is, how can technology be an extension of me and everything I do, but it allows me to do the things that I enjoy doing? So in building Stack, what I really loved was figuring things out, and then having the vision of what it could become. So when I first started interacting with DeFi, I had no idea it would lead me to creating a decentralized bank. I just was playing around with, software basically, trying things, making money, losing money, and seeing what came from that. And I didn't go into it thinking about making a product. I came into it thinking about, I need to start learning how to invest. And I need to put money into something long term that can catch up for all the missed investments I didn't do. So of course I got into Bitcoin and Ethereum, but then I started playing around with borrowing. And then I realized all the things, all the problems that created. So I said, okay, those are problems I could have solutions to, and maybe people will want to pay for solutions. And now that I'm building the business, and it's been 2 years that the app's been live, I'm seeing problems that I'm having running a business. And again, I get to speak to the good thing that I get to see is I know people at almost every level of business, publicly traded companies. People have raised millions and millions of dollars. People have bootstrapped. People just starting. And what I realized is, no matter what level you are, it is a shit show, and it's hard. It doesn't get easier. And then, like, there was one point in my business where we went from making 10K a month to making 40K a month, and it happened like that. And I remember thinking, this doesn't feel better. Actually feels the same, maybe even worse. and I, and and I thought, this was me. But then I spoke to founders that went from 50K to a million to 3 million, and it's just the way it is. So I said, you know what? If that's gonna be what it's gonna be, even when you feel like you got a huge win and the app is working, you still are in this like hamster wheel of stress and death by 1,000 cuts. And I thought to myself, okay, by the time we get to like a million in a million a year in revenue, probably a lot of that goes away. But then I talk to people who do a million, 3 million, and they're like, no, it doesn't go away. And they're breaking down their situations to me, and I'm like, okay, so what I got to do right now is I got to embrace this current version of the business and automate away all the parts I don't like. So as we scale, I'm not burning myself out. I'm still doing the things I enjoy doing. So what do? I take account to what are the things I enjoy doing. What did I like about building this business? What do I currently like about growing it? And what normally would you hire people to do? And how can I make AI do that for me right now until I can afford people? And maybe this is the dirty truth, and most people are not saying it, but I will. There may be a point where I don't need to hire those people to do these things because there's an AI agent that's doing it for me. And that's a scary truth that I think a lot of people need to really sit with and look at what you do and try to learn to see if there's a way to AI automate it, because if that's your job and you can figure out how to AI automate it, entrepreneurs are going to figure it out too. And I won't just stop there. If you're an entrepreneur and your business can be outcompeted by another business using AI, you too are at risk if you don't take this serious and start trying to put yourself out of business. You know what I do? At least once a month, I ask ChatGPT, now that it knows everything. I've been using it literally for years at this point, 2 years, asking it tons of questions all day, helping me think through stuff. I ask it every day, every month, what would you do to put my company out of business if you were a competitor? It gives me an answer, and I sit with that answer and I say, okay, how do I think I could make that not happen? But then I ask it to tell me, how can I make that not happen? And again, there's no silver bullets. Like, things can happen. Business is hard, and most businesses fail. So you got to be okay if that's possible, if that happens. And as another thing, I built this app in a way that even if we fail as a business, my customers are not screwed. Because that is, if FTX, and this is the thing about crypto, people are very fearful of crypto, because FTX went out of business, and all those people that have money in their app, they lost their money until they decided to give the money back years later. I didn't want to build a business that way. That's why I wanted to build a decentralized bank. What that means is we're a bank that holds nobody's money. Because when you understand decentralized finance, you understand you have your own wallet, self-custody. And you can allow access to that wallet for things to be done on your behalf automatically, automated. And that is insane. It's like having a money under your mattress that gets invested somehow, right? It's pretty crazy, but it's pretty awesome. And again, if you're interested in learning more about any of that, let me know. And based on everything I'm talking about, I'm starting to show how I use AI. So if you want to join my newsletter weekly, what I'm doing is I'm showing everything I've seen that week that I think can help business owners elevate their business, leverage AI, leverage crypto, leverage storytelling. Right now, there's no better time in history. These things are like storytelling. You can make a movie right now for $50 a month. You can just There's multiple apps you can buy that are like 50 a month or less, where you can literally make stories that a year ago, 2 years ago, would cost you tens of thousands of dollars. Crypto, Bitcoin and Ethereum have been around for a long time, but these tools that let you use it to run your business, like literally right now, every dollar I make gets invested. I get to spend it without it having to touch a bank. I can pay people all around the world in seconds. I get higher interest rates. I get higher interest rates on my collateral. I get lower interest rates on my loans in a decentralized way where I keep custody. It's insane. And I'll make more and more videos around that as well. All right, so what could you do? Last little bit of information. What could you do to prepare and start doing it? I think one thing I've done well in the past 2 years is I've told myself every day there's going to be a lot of things that get left off your to-do list. You have to just be okay with the things you are able to do. But focus on the things that you know are the most important things to grow in the business. And everything else, you have to catch yourself when it's something that you think you want to do or should be doing, and it's not the best thing for the business. And that is it's a much harder thing than you expect. But I've been decent at it, and I've been 2 years straight, all day, every day, Saturday and Sunday. I wake up and I say, what is the most important thing for me to do today? And then what do? I go in ChatGPT and I ask it to help me do it. And in doing that, one, I got a history of everything I've thought of, everything I've done that I can always go back to and the AI can help me with. Two, I basically have a genius person I could talk to 24/7 about any topic. If that ain't AGI, I don't know what is. I don't know what happened to the definition of AGI, but I think we're here. Um, so that's where I would start. Just open up ChatGPT, create an account. I actually suggest you pay so you get more questions. If you're reaching the limits of the questions, pretty worth $20. Sure, you spend that on Starbucks or Netflix. This is the best $20 you're gonna spend. And I actually do the higher level because I ask so much questions. I do deep research. I do all that. So I pay the $200 a month. And another thing I do is I pay $200 a month for my team because of course, if you have people working for you and they could be more productive, why wouldn't you want that? $200 to be way more productive is so worth it as an entrepreneur and for your staff. So I think it's amazing and I think it's worth doing. The big thing is the workflows though, right? Like, and as an entrepreneur, you're taught, it's all about systems, and the faster you can create systems, the more you can remove yourself from doing too many things. So when it comes down to, for me at least, is I look at these things I know are the most important for me to do day to day, month to month, quarter by quarter. And I start to think, okay, what are ways that I can AI this if I don't enjoy doing it? If I do enjoy doing it, how can AI help me do it better and make it more fun? It's like storytelling. I actually went to school for animation. I didn't learn how to code until I got out of school and I realized animation is just a technology that can be coded. And I started learning how to code. Then I started making websites, apps, games. But that wasn't my first love. It was storytelling. I just couldn't figure out how to make a living doing it other than if I learned how to code and do storytelling animation combined with code. And I was lucky enough to learn how to do that and work for some awesome brands, agencies. And I do miss that. But now, with all this AI, I'm back. I'm able to like write scripts, which that was the thing. Before I wasn't the script writer. I was the storyboarder, the animator. But I wasn't the script writer. I wasn't the concept artist most times. I'm the script AI to do them better than I used to and better than I ever did. In some cases, like I never wrote stories. I never was able to do the concept art, but now I can. And again, I'll show you all this stuff. And if you want just one real world application, commercials and storytelling. Think about Nike, think about all these brands, how much money they spend on their commercials and how they have over decades spent billions of dollars shooting commercials, hiring actors, getting spokespeople. Now you can literally create your own spokesperson. You can spend $20 a month, $50 a month and pump out storytelling content around your problem you're solving with your business. And that has never been possible, just like most of these things I'm talking about. Then, when you take the fact that I am risking right now money, time on this business idea, but if this business fails, I will walk away with a wallet of Bitcoin and Ethereum with as much or more of the money I spent building the business. I'm going to say that one more time because that may have been confusing. Let's say it's been 2 years. Let's say during these 2 years, I spent $200,000 of revenue and investment building the app. It's definitely I've spent I probably got about I don't want to say the numbers live. Okay, but whatever. I've let's say 200K. Let's make the math easy. And we got let's say 100K in revenue. Let's just use those numbers. I will have at least a 300K wallet of Bitcoin and Ethereum if I walk away. Yes, there'll be loans against that 300K, but it's just like a house. If I told you you can have a house and you'll be like, of course I'll take a house. But okay, you're gonna have a house that's worth 300,000, but you have a $200,000 loan against it. Are you not taking the house? Of course not. You will take the house. Same thing here. I'm gonna have a wallet with hundreds of thousands of dollars, and yes, there will be hundreds of thousands of dollars of loans against that crypto. But the idea is over time that crypto will grow, so will the interest, but not as fast as the crypto. The interest is low interest loans, and Bitcoin and Ethereum have grown ridiculously year by year on average. Fastest growing assets in history. So that is de-risking my business, right? Like by me doing this, I feel better about the decisions day to day because worst case scenario, I can't lose all my money. At least I'll walk away with some Bitcoin and Ethereum. Again, I don't want that. I want to make millions and millions and tens of millions and billions of dollars. But as a business owner that has had multiple businesses, I understand the deal. We are going into a, a, a place where most people fail. And if you're going to go into a business and knowing most people fail, at least de-risk the money you're spending. And at least walk away with an investment, even if your business doesn't do as well as you hoped. And if it does do better than you hoped, now you have an asset plus the business. To me, it's a no-brainer. So again, thank you for watching. And if you have any questions anytime, put it in the chat anywhere. You can find me on X. You can find me all over X, Twitter, Facebook. Well, I said Twitter, LinkedIn. And definitely interested in learning what you understood, what you didn't understand. I have a free community as well called Wealth Stackers on school.com. I'm really trying to figure out how to help entrepreneurs navigate this AI stuff. Of course, I want more people using my app. We have business owners, we have regular people, 9 to 5, 9 to 5ers using the app, retirees, investors, all kind of different people. So if you're interested in that, check out the 3-point guide. And I'll be back next week with more. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.